I want to thank you for agreeing to our debate. I look forward to it. Not at all. The pleasure is all mine. I want to use my opening remark to advocate building the fence between us and Mexico. We've got to get control of our borders or we will cease to be an independent nation in any meaningful sense. That's racist. The mere fact of having a border is racist? Well, it's actually culturist. I am not a multiculturalist. I believe in culturism, in the idea that America has a Western culture to maintain. That's racist. No. Look, Mr. President, does Mexico have a culture? Mexico has a very vibrant and important culture that we must always respect. But, then doesn't America then have a culture? And, I'd like to get back to my culturist remarks about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Palestinians and their allies are not interested in peace. They have a different culture, so a different orientation towards war and peace. And, as such, a Mitt Romney foreign policy will be a culturist foreign policy. Let's get back to this border remark. Would you only stop Mexican immigration? Isn't that racist? No, again it's culturist. Mexico has a great culture, but it has low education aims, high pregnancy rates and a different language. Plus we have a jobs deficit. We don't need to allow people from another nation to have our jobs. Another nation? The world is global and getting more diverse. No. The West is getting more diverse. And, competition still exists. Also, in terms of immigration I am for halting, for the time being, immigration from Islamic nations. That's racist. Look, Mr. President, I am a culturist. When I am talking about the importance of culture, I am discussing culture, not race. Race and culture are different things. Are they not? But that is racist. Discussing Islam or Mexicans in anything but glowing terms, saying there is anything wrong with any culture is racist. But, Mr. President, you must assuredly believe that diversity is important, don't you? Diversity is our strength. It is the cornerstone of the American ethos. It is all we have ever stood for and all the best in America will ever refer to. Then, if diversity is so important, it can't always be racist to talk about the importance of cultural diversity. Well, you were talking about race, no culture. I am a culturist. Listen to the word, culturist. I believe that cultural diversity is real and important to discuss. Cultural diversity is important. Isn't it? Diversity is the milk that makes our rivers of plenty flow. Then talking about diversity is not racist. For example, in a Mitt Romney administration we will have a culturist education ideology. That is, we will look at disparities in economic and educational achievement as the result of cultural values, not as evidence that our society is racist, but as evidence that some cultures need to get their collective acts together. I bet you thought I was going to say that is racist. Yep, well it is racist. But, I can understand what you are saying because I agree with Bill Cosby and his pointed straight talk about the African American family. It is the same message that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also gave. After all, I had a good family growing up in the US and Indonesia. And, that is how I got where I am. It's nice to agree with you, Mr. President. And we both agree that bringing the troops home is so important, so important. We have viciously interfered in third world countries in Africa. The British even invaded my father's homeland, Kenya. That is why I returned the bust of Winston Churchill to the British when I came into office. Bring to heel the Western dogs of oppression, so that democracy can flourish. I would have a culturist foreign policy, not a neocon foreign policy. We don't need to be giving aid to our enemies. We safeguard our values best by staying strong and solvent at home. What? Did you say enemies? We have never been and will never be at war with our global partners. Were you agreeing with me or were you being racist again? I was saying we need to bring the troops home. Yes. I agree. And, I will have a culturist economic policy. I would enact trade barriers and tariffs in favor of domestic industries. China and Japan and Korea have succeeded marvelously with culturist trade policies. We have a right to be culturist economically. In that sense, Mr. President, you are more of a globalist than I am. You stand for human rights and fight for the global economy. That is right. Of course, All people everywhere are promised religious liberty and political voices in the UN Declaration of Human Rights. These are the universally agreed upon global values. Well, I believe we should call those Western rights, as the values you just listed will not fly with Islam or China. And, again, the liberal Western values we champion are best secured by keeping America strong and debt-free. Can't we speak of the debt? Well, Mitt, I'd like to ask you a question. Okay, as a culturist, do you agree with other culturists who say that public television channels should all be islands of decency in the media arena? Yes. I believe that in an age where so much information is available on the web, the use of the argument concerning censorship means less than ever. Everyone can now get what they want via the internet. I believe that the publicly chartered networks should model cultural standards. We need those. On this score, I am more of an individualist than a culturist. I say whatever turns you on is great. I take care of my kids with good parenting. We don't need decency laws for public networks. But, if we did, I believe we should also reduce the violence on television. Agreed. Mitt, I agree with your culturist policies more than I thought I would. Perhaps I am a culturist too. Well, if you declared yourself a culturist, it would protect your feminist and homosexual bases. Because, when you prevent intolerant hostile cultures from coming into America, you are keeping those who would kill gays and oppress women at bay. You protect the freedom of speech too. Are you slandering Islam again? It is the biggest, most oppressive competitor the West has. That is racist. No, it is, again, just facing the reality that cultural diversity is real. It is protecting our artists who are threatened with fatwas. In protecting the West, we protect LGBT persons and women's gains. That's why culturism is the new liberalism. Wow. That's quite a slogan. As a maker of fine slogans myself, I admire a good slogan. Culturism is the new liberalism. I am going to talk to my speechwriter about this. Here are a couple of my slogans. The opposite of multiculturalism is racism. Discussing the borders is hate speech. No, the opposite of multiculturalism is culturism, knowing the West has a culture and a right to defend it. And, all nations have borders. Your slogans undermine conversations with slurs. We culturists want to have open, honest discussions of culture, and this is not racist. If cultural diversity is important, discussing culture is important. Diversity is so important. Well, then we need to be able to discuss it without you multiculturalists calling everyone racist. You even call it racist when I talk about keeping our jobs for our American citizens. To talk of American citizens is racist. As a globalist, I find your bias in favor of what you call Americans offensive and backwards. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I am a culturist who believes in culturism. I will seal our borders with Mexico and Islamic nations. I will do so to protect our jobs and maintain our culture. I am against foreign nation building, because other cultures are different and hostile and don't want our values or deserve our money. I will stress our traditional culture of responsibility as I balance the budget. And, as a culturist, I won't be afraid to talk about the negative impact of cultural diversity when some cultures display counterproductive cultural traits. I am a multiculturalist and a globalist. I believe that discussing the border is racist and saying that any cultures have any negative qualities is racist too. I also denounce my opponents' blame the victim characterization of some cultures as achieving less. All cultures believe the same thing, and different levels of achievement only exist because of our society's legacy of slavery and racism. In my second term, I will continue to work for social justice. Why? Well, if were it not for the West theft, all the world's nations would have equal levels of achievement. The fact that some countries are poor still shows that America's racism impedes nations. In my second term, as a citizen of the world, I will further pursue global social justice. And, in the context of my opponent's racist remarks, I want to say that I am particularly for bringing global social justice to our Islamic partners in peace around the globe. Well, Mr. President, thank you for debating me. I have enjoyed it. Me too. Thank you.